Hey everybody, welcome. Okay, so today is training number 2 for our Zoom Proof Your Brand challenge. I do want to mention really quick that if any of you are typing comments or asking questions live, in order for me to be able to see them, you have to go and give StreamYard permission through Facebook. So if anybody's wondering if I didn't answer something on Monday that you were asking live, that's why. So you just have to grant StreamYard permission, and then I'll be able to see you. And look, I already see Yana. She says, I was so inspired by Monday that I completely revamped my look. I'm so excited. I wish I could see you right now. All right, so let's get started. I am Lee Hayward, founder of the Prosperous Image, and this is training number 2 for our Zoom Proof Your Brand challenge. And what we're going to talk about today is lighting and what to wear. Hey Connie, before I get started, I do want to mention one thing. So first of all, thank you to everybody who has been sending in their worksheets and awesome takeaways that are showing up on the discussion board. And there's one that I really want to mention that I think is so important, and I'm so glad that it got put up there. Connie, it might have been you, actually. I can't remember who said it, but there was one up there that basically said, I have been using COVID as an excuse. And we are all in different parts of the country, and we're all experiencing COVID differently. And so I don't take that lightly at all, but it's so important to have that aha and that takeaway, because COVID is here, we are dealing with it, but it cannot stop what we are meant to do, and it cannot stop the impact that we're meant to make. And it doesn't change anything in terms of how we present ourselves just because we may be in a different location. So I was so happy to have that reminder. And so this is kind of an opportunity to do what I like to call is like draw a line in the sand and make a decision that your brand and who you are matters. And so no matter what's going on, you're going to persevere through that. Now, I know that there are lots of challenges that show up for that, but if we kind of have that in the back of our mind, I think it can make a big difference. So thank you, Connie. That was you. All right. So first off, I want to kick off with a little chat about lighting. Now, I am in no way a lighting expert, so let me just put that out there. So if you are looking to have like the most professional studio setting in your home office, then I highly recommend you talk to a videographer. A videographer, there's a lot of them have actually pivoted to develop some services where they will actually work with you to figure out what camera you need, what green screen you need, do you need a green screen, what lights you need, yada, yada, yada. So if you are needing like the utmost professional setting, I highly recommend you talk to an expert. If you want to just get it done and sort of look good, you can take what I'm going to tell you today. So for starters, let's talk about the point of lighting. So the idea of lighting is essentially to highlight you in a way that makes it so people aren't like, oh, can I see you? Like, oh, the left side of our face looks different than the right. Like, we're just trying to create an environment and an atmosphere that allows people to really, truly focus on what you're saying. And to do that, you need lighting. So pre-COVID, I had the opportunity to have an office that where my desk faced 2 windows on each side. And it was great because I had natural light coming from 2 sides and it was even. So I didn't have to worry too much about shadows, and I didn't even have to use lights. Once COVID happened and we were shifting things around in my house, now my office is upstairs where my kids' bedrooms also are. It's a different situation. So now I have 2 huge windows to the right of me and no windows to the left of me. So I have to control the light. And that's the whole point of this conversation, is just to remind you that like you're in control of the light, and it doesn't have to be this difficult, situation with lots of stuff. I literally bought lighting based on a couple of parameters. Number 1, if my kids come in and knock it over, I'm not going to be too upset about it. Number 2, if my dog knocks it over because she hangs out in my office all the time, I'm not going to be too upset about it. And number 3, I want them to actually work. So I actually use 2 ring lights, and ring lights at one point were pretty difficult to find. And I believe that now there's actually quite a selection. Let's see, I'm going to try and show you this box so you can see it. This is UV size, and I'll put the link. But this is the box. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I keep it in a drawer. But I will put the link to the lights that I actually use on Amazon so that you can take a look. And I think the ones that I have are like $55. So it's pretty simple. The other thing to consider with lights is that you don't actually have to purchase lights. You may actually have stuff in your house that is going to work just fine. So before I had lights, I was actually going around my house and gathering lamps and things like that that I could adjust and put wherever I needed it. And the key is having the light right in front of you. So like if you have a laptop, the light would be right behind your laptop, and you want it to literally be like a tiny bit above your head so that the light sort of comes down almost at your third eye. So it's not way up here. It's not, on one side, but it sits right in front of you to try and create some soft, natural light. The other thing you can do, the irony of what's happening right now is the light is actually shifting. The sun's coming out. So like I can now see the light is changing. So like you do what you can, but like right now I'm going to have more light on this side of my face, even though I have, tried to combat that. But anyway, the other key is you can do something as simple as replacing the light bulbs, LED lights, particularly ones that are going to have something written on them about being like a soft, I don't remember what they call it, but whatever, it says soft on the box. Those are going to also cast a more like natural light, a natural soft light, which is what you're actually looking for. So the lighting doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, something that you go make a professional studio. That may be important for your brand. That's something that you would look from the foundation that you were building on Monday. If that is going to be important, then yeah, you need a super professional studio. And in that case, talk to a videographer. So hopefully that helps. If y'all have any questions, feel free to put them up there. Trying to think what else I left out about lighting, but I keep it pretty simple. Oh, the other thing about ring lights is you can actually, if you have a desk that's big enough, you can actually set them on your desk. I have one that's 2 feet to the left of me. I have one that's about 4 feet to the right of me. So it's just all about adjusting them. And then when I'm not using them, I just back them up and they sit against the wall. And for me, that was important. It had to have a little bit of reality to it. So moving on to what to wear. Oh, one last thing about lighting. One of the easiest tricks to testing lighting is get on your own Zoom link and just sit there as if you're having a meeting with yourself. And you use Zoom before anybody is actually on to play with the lights. So adjust them, put one further out, bring it back in, and watch as the lighting changes on your face. And that's how you're actually going to know what you will look like when you show up on Zoom. So that's just a little key. It's a little ironic if Zoom ever goes and looks at all of my recordings, like every other one is it's just me looking at myself, seeing how the lighting works. So, but that's a really simple trick so that you actually figure out if it's what you're doing is working. Okay. So let's move on to what to wear. And this has been something that has shown up for a lot of you. And, wondering, I'm at home, how dressy do I need to be? Do I have to actually do my hair? Do I have to wear makeup? So let's talk a little bit about that. And the most important part of this is going back and a bit like we did on Monday, we're asking yourself, like, what is it that you want Zoom to do for you? You got to go back and ask what it is that your image is actually doing for you. So the reason what you wear matters, and this is just across the board, whether you're on Zoom or walking down the street, is that it is literally all about positioning. And there's no time in life where we grow up and we think, okay, I can wear this, this, and this to position myself in a certain way. Typically, we are putting stuff on to think, this looks fine, this fits, this was on sale, I should wear this because I'm supposed to wear a jacket, whatever it is. So I want to change the framework in your head a little bit to really consider what it is that your image wants you to do and how do you want to be positioned. So one thing to consider is that it actually takes 7 seconds to form a first impression, not long. And what's happening right now in our virtual world is that we only have our little box to tell a little story to create that first impression. So if you're doing an intake with a new client, if you are interviewing a new team member, whatever it is, you have a very quick amount of time, a very short amount of time rather, to actually portray the image and the expert status that you've worked so hard to create. So that's why actually getting dressed and actually being Zoom ready so that you could jump on, at a moment's notice truly, really matters. And it goes back to this idea. I mean, you may have heard me mention this before, this idea of like impression of increase, where everything, if somebody's buying something, then they are doing it because they believe that it's going to improve their life. It's as simple as like even buying a piece of gum. You buy a piece of gum because you think it's going to improve your life, not in some dramatic way, but it might give you better breath. It is going to give you something to do. It seems fun to spend the money on it. Like whatever it is, it gives you a little jolt of like, oh, this is going to improve my life, even if it's only for 30 seconds. And so you got to remember that that's literally what people are thinking subconsciously is like, okay, are they going to improve my life? Are they going to help me fix this situation? So when you start thinking about an image from that perspective, it becomes more about how do you make it powerful and strategic and less about, okay, I have to get dressed today. So I just encourage you to kind of start to reframe the point of getting dressed. And then for the purposes of this, I mean, we are specifically talking about Zoom. So I talked the other day about how we have this little postage stamp to tell a story. It's a very small, if you're a woman, boob up area. And what it's really doing is the two things I just mentioned. It's helping you create a first impression and it's helping you maintain your expert status. So that changes things when you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't have a Zoom call today and I have to get dressed. Maybe I can get by without wearing makeup, without doing my hair and just, showing up in what I was wearing a minute ago. You got to ask yourself and remind yourself that this is the main venue for many people right now to A, create a first impression, and then B, remind people that you are the expert in your particular field. So, all right. A lot of the takeaways that showed up, there were a few people that mentioned the idea of, I actually need a brand. So I talked a little bit about like being on brand, and that's a great point because you can't be on brand if you don't know what your brand is. So this next portion, I think, will help you start out to build the foundation of like what your brand actually looks like. And the idea is that everyone has an image. Every single person has an image, and it exists whether you've created it on purpose or it just sort of haphazardly happened to you. And with that in mind, you have the opportunity to control, for the most part, how people perceive you. And in order to do that, you have to ask yourself this one question. And it's a surprising one because it's how do you want to feel? And it's not how do you want to look. So one way to really think about it, and this is an exercise that I take clients through, I mean, it's in more depth, but this is the simplistic way to think about it, is ask yourself, close your eyes and sit there and think about for a second about a moment that really matters, like something that's big. It's a client you want to land. It's an associate you really want to hire because they're going to be awesome for your firm. It's whatever it is. Think about a moment that really matters to you. And then ask yourself, how do you want to feel? Okay, so it can be anything. I want to feel powerful. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel badass. I want to feel unique. I want to feel successful, of excellence. I mean, I'm just making these up. And the most interesting part is you could have somebody that has the exact same feelings that they pull out as you do, but they're going to be translated differently. And that's what turns it into your unique personal brand. So this will be one of the exercises on the worksheet that I give you guys today. And the idea is to literally just sit down and make a list. Like, what are the words that come to mind in terms of how do you want to feel? And I encourage you to stay away from words like, I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel good. They just need to be more specific than that. So I believe that comfort is a given. Like, I'm not interested in feeling powerful and miserable at the same time. So comfort is a given. So you don't have to put that into your words, but they need to be more inspiring and bigger so that they can actually guide you to to get a result. So once you have outlined all these words that encompass something about how you want to feel, then you need to kind of narrow them down to three if you can. And the three words become your roadmap. And one of the tips that I tell people all the time is like, take just two sticky notes, super simple. Write the three words on the sticky notes, put one in your closet and put one in your wallet. The one in your wallet is the one that you reference when you are shopping in person and you're like, oof, do I like this? Or the salesperson is like, that looks amazing. Or you're shopping with a friend and they're like, oh, I love that. And you're just not sure. So you have the answer, you have the key in your wallet, and it's those three words on the sticky note. And you're just going to ask yourself, does this make me feel powerful, unique, and sexy? Whatever it is. I'm just making them up. And if it does, then you have your answer. Then, okay, I may not feel comfortable quite yet, but I know that this is on brand for me. So hopefully that makes sense. So then the trick is walking into your closet and being pretty brutal about not accepting things that don't make you feel like those words. So a lot of times the stuff in our closet is like, we got it on sale, we were excited it fits, we kept it because of sentimental reasons, whatever it is, that's fine. But if they don't tick those words, all three of them, you can't have just one, then it shouldn't stay there. Then it becomes, it's just taking up this real estate that is really important for you to create the look that you want, but it's not actually helping you. So the only things that should remain in your closet are the things that truly use those words. All right, moving on. One of the things that has been so challenging as everyone was thrown from the physical office to the virtual home office is, okay, I'm at home, I'm not at the office. Why do I need to wear a jacket? Why do I need to wear this? Everybody knows we're at home. So this goes back to essentially the idea of you are there to increase someone's life if they are going to purchase from you, or if you are leading a group, you are there to increase their life so that they want to come to work. They are bought into the message and the mission of what you do. And so you have to present yourself in a way that does that, whether you are at home or in your Class A office space. So rule of thumb, particularly if you were talking to other team members and y'all are trying to figure out like, what does an actual dress code look like now that we're at home? That's one thing that I've actually gone in and redone for people is you need to have a clause in the dress code that talks about virtual dress. And what I would recommend is it cannot be anything than like one step down than whatever your normal dress code is. So if your normal dress code is that we are like business all the way, everybody shows up in suits, then everybody is going to need to be pretty on par with business. Maybe a guy can wear a t-shirt under a blazer instead of like a shirt and tie. Maybe they don't have to wear a tie. Maybe they don't have to wear the blazer and just wear the shirt and tie. So you get what I'm saying. It's one step down. It is not 17 steps down into yoga clothes. And I know that gets a little bit of resistance, but you have to, and this is for your business. So you have to go back and really think about what is going to be most strategic for you when you are client facing. I had somebody text me the other day. They were like, okay, should I wear a jacket with a client? I asked one question. Do you usually wear a jacket with a client? And they said, yes. I was like, then yes, you wear a jacket. But we didn't wear a tie. We didn't do all of the things. It was just like one notch below. So that's kind of the blanket statement that I will put on it. And then you got to kind of go in and figure out what is actually right for you and your brand. So specifically, and I know this one is maybe a few minutes longer than 20 minutes, so sorry, but I'll try and wrap it up quickly. But one thing that I want to show you guys is I'm going to use myself for this, and I'm going to put this little disclaimer up. Watch this. So I want to show you what happens on Zoom. So one thing that the camera does, whether you're doing a photo shoot, a video, you're on Zoom, it sort of dumbs things down a level. So you could look at yourself and be like, oh, I look great. This is going to be amazing. And then you get on the camera, you get on screen and it looks like you have no makeup on. Or, I mean, I can tell you now, the amount of red lipstick that I have on right now is ridiculous. If I walked outside right now, you'd be like, is that really the look you're going for? It's not. But in order to make it show up on the screen, you have to put a little bit more on. So you got to play that game of playing to the camera to actually get the look that you want. So you're going to do as I say, not as I wear. So today I specifically wore a bomber jacket because I think the value of having sort of what I'm calling a finishing piece, which is a jacket, a blazer, it could be a cardigan. It's something that sort of like finishes the outfit is huge, particularly on camera. But a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really want to wear that. And you don't have to wear a jacket, but the idea is that you are finishing your outfit so that it has some details. So I want to show you what happens when I take my jacket off. I also want to show you what happens when I take earrings off and when I take a necklace off. You can't actually see this necklace very well, but jewelry is another essential to Zoom for what ladies to help you paint that picture. And so kind of your main list of essentials are whatever finishing pieces for an outfit. It could be a jacket, it could be jewelry. The must is wearing makeup and the must is doing your hair. So while I take all this off, I'll talk about makeup for a second because this, I get a lot of pushback on this, which I totally get. Like it's a pain in the ass to put makeup on. It takes time. However, the difference of you on screen with makeup versus not is pretty massive. And if your brand is something that is talking about how, I don't know what the example is, but like something that's talking about like you guys care. Here you go. You genuinely care about the results that you get, but then you show up looking like you don't necessarily care about yourself. You're now off brand. You're creating that record skip moment that we talked about a minute ago. Okay, so we're taking all this off, which is a funny Zoom situation. Okay, so now I'm just sitting here in a tank top and you can't see any of my jewelry, and I could even like put my hair up or back or whatever, and I have less opportunity to tell a story. So my point here is that you're actually going to use the items that you're wearing to tell the story about who you are and your personal brand. I guess I didn't take my gem in the hologram earrings off, so hold on. But I just wanted you to actually see what happens on the camera. And we could have done this with pictures, but that's not as much fun. So you do have to play it up a little bit. So just putting a shirt on and calling it a day isn't enough. You got to add those finishing pieces. So hopefully that helps. And now you get to see me sitting here in a tank top, which doesn't happen often. Anyway, okay. So these are your main keys for really looking good on Zoom. And I know that is not like, oh, you need to wear XYZ, but the XYZ isn't really important. It's how you are developing the foundation of what XYZ becomes. And women, we've got mostly women, I think, on here now, but there's a couple of men on this challenge. It's kind of interesting to compare men versus women. I mean, women have it a lot easier than men because they have an opportunity to tell a story in this little postage box with so many more items than men do. We have hair, we have makeup, you have jewelry, you have a million different ways to wear your clothes, versus men don't have quite the luxury of all of those options. Now, I will say for any of the men who are watching to do you. So one thing I'm seeing is men are putting kind of like a blanket, all right, I'll just put this polo shirt on, it's branded, we call it a day. You got to remember that you really have two ways to tell the story. One is with you and one is with your background. They often go together, but you have to make sure that you are giving people a little something. So if you're like this techie company and maybe the polo shirt is okay, but I'm going to probably tell you to make it a little bit more interesting, but it can still be comfortable. Don't worry. All right. So y'all let me know what questions you have. Yes, you definitely have to wear makeup. If you don't like wearing makeup, the minimum that you can get away with really is like a tinted moisturizer and mascara. That's the minimum. And I would love to see more actually, but I'll give you that. I'll throw you a bone. So let's move on to today's action challenge so you guys can get to it. So what I want you guys to do today is number one, go back and define those words that we talked about. They are very important. They are going to be your guiding light, your beacon from now on. And I want you to figure out what they actually are. So you're going to define those words, and then you're going to go in your closet and you're going to actually create an outfit that represents that. It needs to make sense in terms of how you feel in it. And then I want you to take an actual screenshot of you on Zoom and put the screenshot in the group so we can see it. If you feel comfortable sharing the words, put them on there as well. I think it will be fun for people to see what other people's words are and how they get translated. This is not an opportunity for others to go in and be like, that does not look powerful. That's not what this is about. This is about simply having you up level and start stepping into the way you want to feel, but we're not going to judge everybody else's picture. So don't think about that when you're putting them up there. If you don't have Zoom, you can also do this with probably just a selfie off your iPad or your phone. So that is going to be the challenge. It's going to be due 9 a.m. Friday, and it will be part of what we need to win in order to get your complimentary seat for the workshop. All right. So somebody's going to put on pants versus leggings, business on top versus party on the bottom. That's a great, it's actually a great thing that I didn't mention. I'll mention that and then we'll jump off of here. So here's the thing about getting dressed. I mentioned this in the beginning about how you're essentially working to make two people feel confident with your brand, you and the people that you are leading or trying to sell. When you're getting dressed, the most important person that you are getting dressed for is yourself. So put the whole outfit on. It will be amazing how much better you feel because you actually will stand in those words. And I don't think that it's possible for you to create these words that are exactly how you want to feel and who you want to be and then only half-ass it. So fully dressed, maybe without shoes. But I definitely encourage you to put on the whole outfit and not just party on the top. Okay, guys, this was fun today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all the fun comments, and I can't wait to see everybody's pictures in the group. All right, have a great day, and we'll see you Friday.